Never forget, 6 years ago, a billionaire pedophile with ties to the global elite, the owner of a private Caribbean island complete with underage sex slaves, allegedly took his own life before he could testify. His powerful clients? They're still walking free. Never forget, the night he died, both of his prison guards were conveniently asleep. His cellmate, conveniently removed. The security cameras? They conveniently malfunctioned at the exact moment the world needed them most. If you think that was the end of the story, think again, because it's not over. High-profile figures, politicians, powerful brokers are sweating as a newly uncovered tranche of emails threatens to expose the truth they thought was buried. The case on high-profile clients including Bill Clinton and Adam Schiff isn't closed, it's just getting started. Welcome to The People's Voice, where we pull back the curtain on the lies, the cover-ups, and the conspiracies they never wanted you to see. Before we dive in, join the People's Voice Locals community if you haven't already, and sign up to become a member of the world's first ever cyber nation that truly believes in life, liberty, and the pursuit of your dreams. Visit joson.com and click the Join Us button today. It's completely free. Mel Gibson, a Hollywood insider turned outspoken critic, has just been appointed by Donald Trump as an ambassador to Hollywood. And he's not wasting any time. Gibson has made a bold vow. I'm going to clean the corruption and filth out of Hollywood. No more cover-ups, no more protecting the powerful. The truth will come out, no matter who it exposes. This isn't just a statement, it's a declaration of war against the dark forces that have controlled the entertainment industry for decades. Gibson, a man who's seen it all from the inside, is now on a mission to expose the lies, the manipulation, and the networks of elite pedophiles that use children as a currency and operate behind closed doors. Hollywood's elite are on notice. As far as Mel Gibson and patriots including Rep. Marsha Blackburn are concerned, the era of silence is over.
And that a large network of high-profile, high-dollar predators took part in this horrific abuse. That's why on the Senate Judiciary Committee, I've repeatedly requested a subpoena for the complete unredacted Epstein flight logs from the FBI. I've also pushed for the release of Ghislaine Maxwell's unredacted little black book of contacts and addresses. The American people have the right to know who flew on his planes, who witnessed the crimes, and who potentially participated in his global sex trafficking ring. Yet time and again, in the last Congress, Democrat leadership and then FBI Director Wray stonewalled my request. Make no mistake, by blocking my request, they were delaying justice for Epstein's many victims. But now, with Republican control of Congress and President Trump back in the Oval Office, we're going to see some real change on this issue. Just last week, the president's excellent pick for FBI Director Kash Patel vowed to work with me in releasing the Epstein records and breaking apart the trafficking rings that harm countless women and children across our country.
The question remains, is the world ready for the truth? Kash Patel has made a bombshell claim. The FBI investigation has uncovered 256 emails between Congressman Adam Schiff and Jeffrey Epstein. This is a massive scandal and Schiff must be held accountable. 256 emails. What were they discussing? Why were there so many? And why has this connection remained hidden until now? The implications are staggering. If released, this email trove will expose a web of corruption, cover-ups, and connections that reach deep into the heart of political power and explain why the elite have been so desperate to keep Schiff in office. How did California choose sleazebag Adam Schiff over LA Dodgers legend Steve Garvey? Sure, fraud played a role, but even with all the tricks, you still need enough real voters to make it look legit. And that's the kicker. Enough Californians willingly backed this lowlife, putting him in the Senate. What does that say about where California is headed? Something's broken. How do we fix it?
So you're being considered for director of the FBI, and here you did no diligence to find out whether people you were associating with now the President of the United States in song were convicted of attacking police officers. Is that who we want running the FBI? I want you to turn around. There are Capitol Police officers behind you. They're guarding us. Take a look at them right now. Turn around.
I'm looking at you. You're talking to me.
No, look at them. I want you to look at them if you can, if you have the courage to look them in the eye, Mr. Patel, and tell them you're proud of what you did. Tell them you're proud that you raised money off of people that assaulted their colleagues, that pepper sprayed them, that beat them with poles. Tell them you're proud of what you did, Mr. Patel. They're right there. They're guarding you today. Tell them how proud you are.
That's an abject lie, and you know it. I've never, ever accepted violence against law enforcement.
Why doesn't Schiff talk about his 72 trips to Epstein Island? Or the multiple cases allegedly paid out by a notorious Congress hush fund to several young boys and their families. Let's face facts. Diddy is currently rotting in the same prison where Jeffrey Epstein was found dead. And guess what? Adam Schiff was friends with both of these men. If there's any justice left, Schiff shouldn't be walking the halls of power. He should be locked up right next to his old friend Diddy. Because the company you keep says it all. Schiff was close friends with Dr. Bruce Hensel, the TV pervert who was caught soliciting lewd photos from a 9-year-old girl. How many famous perverts can one man be connected to? Because looking at the list, it seems to be endless. Every name, every connection, another thread in the same dark web. At what point do we stop calling it a coincidence? In 2022, Ed Buck, the Democrat megadonor and very close friend of Adam Schiff, was sentenced to 30 years in prison for drugging, raping, and killing young gay males. Adam Schiff chose not to comment on his long-term friend's horrific crimes and guilty verdicts. Now, a new report has just unveiled a trove of leaked information from Jeffrey Epstein's personal calendars and emails. Documents that, according to the Daily Mail, provided unprecedented insight into the massive influence once wielded by the late pedophile. These files, reportedly handed over to the US Virgin Islands government by Epstein's own estate, contain explosive mentions of high-profile names: Prince Andrew, David Blaine, Chris Rock, Peter Thiel, Woody Allen, and more. Sure, most of these names we already knew about. But here's the bombshell. Adam Schiff has now been dragged into the scandal. And that changes everything. Because for Senator Schiff, the identity of the next FBI director isn't just political, it's existential. His future, his secrets, his entire career are hanging in the balance. Kash Patel knows what's up. He knows Adam Schiff is a compulsive liar with a closet full of skeletons. And here's the best part. Patel isn't just calling him out. He's vowed to team up with Mel Gibson to eradicate the filth from California. And it starts at the top. No more cover-ups, no more lies. The days of the corrupt elite hiding in plain sight are numbered. But here's a warning. The rest of this report is not for the faint-hearted. The truth about what these reprobates were doing on Epstein's Island is far worse than anything the mainstream media has been forced to admit. After years of covering for Epstein, they're still doing it, burying the darkest parts, hiding the most horrific details. Because the truth is despicable. Medical experiments, sickening torture, death. Children treated like disposable objects, used, discarded, forgotten. But not for long. The reckoning is coming. Are you ready? The globalists are trying to make us all poorer and destroy what's left of the economy. The Biden regime is following all of the WF diktats to the letter. They literally want you to own nothing and pretend to be happy. It's no joke. That's why I recently decided to put a lot of my own savings into precious metals, gold and silver. I don't trust the banks, I don't trust governments, and I don't trust big tech with my hard-earned money. Why? Because the handful of people that I do trust to give me financial advice, Max Kaiser for instance, have all said that gold is the best insurance against inflation and the stock market. So I decided to partner up with our sponsor, Colonial Metals Group. They helped me set up a self-directed IRA, where I have access to all of my assets, no matter what restrictions the government impose on everybody else. Let the team of experts at CMG help you protect your family's future. And viewers of this channel are being given an exclusive offer. Click the link below this video or call the 800 number and you'll receive a safe and up to $7,500 in free silver. This offer is exclusive to viewers of The People's Voice. The number to call is 888-351-2043. That's 888-351-2043. Or go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/TPV. Is Schiff another high-profile man with certain predilections who is hiding in plain sight? Considering the nature of the friends he keeps, you wouldn't want to bet against it. Serial predators have a way of flaunting their deranged success, rubbing it in the faces of their victims. is a type of psychopathy common among the global elite. These psychopaths have no connection to reality. They are serial abusers and liars, weaving deception without hesitation. And here's the kicker. They don't feel a shred of embarrassment when they're caught. Because for them, the truth was never the goal. Control is.
I don't want to go into specifics, but I will say that there is evidence that is not circumstantial.
There is circumstantial evidence of collusion.
There is circumstantial evidence, certainly, of collusion or coordination. There's also abundant circumstantial evidence.
All you have right now is a circumstantial case.
Actually, no, Chuck. I can tell you that the case is more than that. And circumstantial evidence can be very powerful and is hard evidence. We're also looking at persistent allegations that the Russians have been laundering money through the Trump organization. I don't know that that's true.
Given what's lurking in Schiff's closet, it's no wonder he was ruthlessly driven to frame the duly elected president of the United States. Schiff was desperate for a Democrat administration to reclaim the White House, one that wouldn't ask any questions about the global elite's close ties to Epstein or the disturbing activities that took place on that island. According to a whistleblower, the truth about the roles played by DC politicians, including Bill Clinton and Adam Schiff, are yet to be fully revealed.
I don't have much time. They're watching everyone connected to this case. But you need to hear this. Someone has to. Epstein's Island, it wasn't just about blackmail or parties with the rich and powerful. That was just the cover. What was really happening out there? They were running experiments, not on animals, on children. The desperate, the lost, the ones no one would miss. They called it human optimization, said it was all for science, transhumanist advancements, pushing the limits of what the human body and mind could do, DNA modification, neural implants, cognitive rewiring. They weren't curing diseases, they were trying to control people, reprogramming minds like software updates. The elite weren't just funding this, they were participants. US politicians, tech billionaires, corporate giants, they weren't just in the room, they were running the trials. And they were excited. Obsessed with the idea of enhancing themselves, living longer, thinking faster, controlling not just their bodies, but the people beneath them. Some of the names involved, if I said them out loud, you'd think I was making it up. The Rothschilds, their money made sure no one asked questions, no one dug too deep. And what they did makes Dr. Mengele look like an amateur. No ethics, no oversight, just raw experimentation with one goal, power without limits. I've seen things I can't unsee. Some survived, some didn't. And the ones who did, they're not the same. Not really.
Last year, The People's Voice exposed Dr. Anthony Fauci's grisly series of medical experiments on young and underprivileged children. There is a large unmarked grave outside New York, full of young bodies, to show for his cruel and unusual experimentation. But Fauci is not the only household name involved in deadly medical experiments on children. Torturing and experimenting on young children appears to be an obsession of the global elite, as Whitney Webb explained to Redacted.
So this is a crazy story because we know about the sex trafficking in 2007. Then after he gets out, he turns his attention to the U.S. Virgin Islands and starts a new company, which I don't think many Americans have any idea about this part of the story. And we're just now starting to learn more and more about this. Can you take us through sort of the high level first, and then we'll dive into the nitty gritty, disgusting details?
Sure. So the company you're talking about here is called Southern Trust, and he had a few other companies tied up with it, including a bank. That were based on the Virgin Islands after he was arrested for sex trafficking in Palm Beach. And so after that happened, he seemed, like you said, to have directed his attention more to the Virgin Islands. And so this company in particular, Southern Trust, was created in 2012. And it describes itself as offering cutting-edge consulting services and as a DNA data mining firm that was trying to find clients specifically among big banks and big pharma. It described itself as sort of a biomedical Google that was trying to use people's genetic sequencing to determine what drugs would work best on them and all sorts of odd things. And even people in the testimony that he gave to this Economic Development Commission in the Virgin Islands were, very awestruck, I guess you could say, by how, unusual the company was framed as being. So what's interesting is if you look at the testimony, it doesn't explicitly talk about children, but in his testimony to this commission, he says what he wants to do is essentially engage children early on to train them in programming and to run these artificial intelligence servers that are going to power these algorithms. And so the way he apparently did that was by funding a slew of initiatives targeting youth in the Virgin Islands, specifically mentally ill youth and underprivileged and poor children. And a lot of the those activities are eerily similar to the same ways that he recruited minors, underage girls in the United States, targeting underprivileged, economically underprivileged teenage girls. And we know now from the recent Wall Street Journal revelations that banks, prominent banks like the Edmund de Rothschild Group, was giving Southern Trust millions and millions of dollars in contracts. And it's just a very disturbing and overlooked story, and might shed some light on why the U.S. Virgin Islands, unlike a lot of jurisdictions in the U.S., are interested in going after a lot of the powerful people that enabled Epstein, particularly billionaires and some of these big banks.
It's crazy. It's truly disturbing. I mean, absolutely disturbing. It sounds like something out of like a Bond villain. Like if you were to write this as part of a movie, people would say, no, this is ridiculous. You're going to have a billionaire who's going to go to the Virgin Islands. He's going to seek out children in order to do biomedical research, implanting things in their brains. Yeah. And even in his testimony, I've gone through these documents that you've sent over. He talks about autistic children specifically. I think like a quarter of them were autistic as well. And did any of the parents
kids on the spectrum?
Yeah. So looking specifically for kids on the spectrum, did you get any insights into why he was doing that?
I think maybe what he was looking for were, I think people are probably familiar with the sort of savant characteristics of some autistic people. And he may have been looking for children and teens that sort of had those unusual abilities. But it's definitely very disturbing. And something he talks about in his testimony, this Virgin Island Commission, is the idea of how he aggressively wants to genetically sequence the islander population because it's such an isolated community, and then talks about how that genetic information can be used to determine how to educate these children that he wants to recruit to ostensibly work for his company in coding and programming. But again, as I mentioned earlier, he's targeting specifically underprivileged children, which is very disturbing in light of the similarities between that and what he was doing as part of his sex trafficking operation with Ghislaine Maxwell.
The global elite are more sick and twisted than your worst nightmares. They're obsessed with accessing our genetic material, altering our very DNA, and tightening their grip to seize control of humanity. This isn't just about power, it's about enslavement. Not for a generation, but for all eternity. We underestimate them at our peril. And while you might be thinking Trump is in office, he's defeating the globalists and dismantling the deep state, think again. These criminals are still walking free, hiding in plain sight, pulling the strings behind the curtain. The fight isn't over, it's just beginning. Here at The People's Voice, we're determined to continue exposing the crimes of the global elite, but we need your help. Subscribe to the channel, spread this video far and wide, and join the People's Voice Locals community for exclusive and uncensored content. I hope to see you there. Today's video is brought to you by IPv6ers. Are you a content creator who wants to publish information online without Big Brother spying and censoring your every move? IPv6ers is set to revolutionize the way information is disseminated on the internet by eliminating the need for big tech companies to provide unreliable, overpriced services such as self-hosting, email, and data management. IPv6ers enables an easy and accessible way for you to host your own web and email server with direct end-to-end connections and enhanced security. This means no snooping for Big Brother and no interference from the technocratic elite. If Hillary Clinton can get away with running her own server, why shouldn't you? Go to thepeoplesvoice.tv/IPv6 to sign up, or click the link below this video to take back control of the internet and win the info wars against the globalists. If you like our content, help support our sponsor IPv6ers and go to thepeoplesvoice.tv/IPv6 today. Thank you IPv6ers for making this video possible.